shopping for this holiday season. It's okay, you can admit it if you bought an item or 2 or 10 for yourself.
Well, it's okay, you can admit it if you have bought an item or 2 or maybe 10 for yourself.
It's okay, you can admit it. You bought an item or 2 or 10 for yourself.
It's okay, you can admit it if you bought an item or 2 or 10 for yourself.
It's okay, you can admit it if you bought an item or 2 or 10 for yourself.
It's okay, you can admit it. If you bought an item or 2 or 10 for yourself.
It's okay, you can admit it, Todd, if you bought an item or 2 or 10 for yourself.
It's okay, you can admit it. If you bought an item or 2 or 10 for yourself.
It's okay, you can admit it if you bought an item or 2 or maybe 10 for yourself.
It's okay, you can admit it if you bought an item or 2 or 10 for yourself.
It's okay, you can admit it if you bought 1 or 2 or maybe 3 or 4, maybe even 10 items for yourself. It's okay, you can admit it if you bought an item or 2 or 10 for yourself.
It's okay, you can admit it if you bought an item or 2 or 10 for yourself.
It's okay, you can admit it if you bought an item or 2 or 10 for yourself.
It's okay, you can admit it if you bought an item or 2 or maybe 10 for yourself.
It's okay, you can admit it if you bought maybe an item 2 or 10 for yourself.
It's okay, you can admit it if you bought an item or 2 or 3 or 10 for yourself. It's okay, you can admit it if you bought an item or 2 or 10 for yourself.
It's okay, you can admit it if you bought an item or 2 or 10 for you.
It's okay, you can admit it.
If you bought an item or 2
It's okay, you can admit it if you bought an item or 2 or 10 for yourself.
It's okay, you can admit it if you bought an item or 2 or 10 for yourself.
It's okay, admit it if you bought an item or 2 or 10 for yourself.
It's okay, you can admit it if you bought yourself 1 or 2 or 10 things for yourself because a lot of people do it.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year. Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year. Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year. Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year. Economic factors may take some of the spring out of the...
Third time I've said that. I'll probably say it 3 more times. See, in my line of work, you got to keep repeating things over and over and over again for the truth to sink in, to kind of catapult the propaganda.
Terrorism, terrorist, terror organization, terrorist attacks, terrorism, terrorist network, terrorist attacks, terrorist group, terrorists, terrorists, instruments of terror, a terror network, terror cells, terrorists, terrorizing terror and murder. To kind of catapult the propaganda. Weapons of terror, terrible weapons of mass destruction, chemical weapons of mass destruction, dangerous weapons, even more dangerous weapons, biological weapons, chemical agents, chemical weapons, chemical attacks, chemical and biological weapons, ballistic missiles, chemical or biological weapons, chemical or biological attack, chemical and biological attacks, poisons, deadly gases, the biological or chemical weapon, instruments of terror, the instruments of mass death, weapons of mass destruction, nuclear weapon, bomb, nuclear weapons, nuclear program, nuclear weapons program, nuclear scientists, nuclear holy warriors, nuclear program and nuclear weapons, nuclear weapon, nuclear technology, biological or chemical or a nuclear weapon. To kind of catapult the propaganda.
But here you have the Johnny Appleseed of terrorism wandering the country with his little sack of anthrax. Anthrax. Bacterium, anthrax investigation, anthrax exposure, anthrax tests, with anthrax scares, anthrax spores, anthrax strains, anthrax hoaxes, anthrax attacks, cases of anthrax cases and traces of anthrax, skin anthrax, cutaneous case of anthrax, inhaled anthrax, inhalation anthrax, anthrax in the mail, anthrax through the mail, anthrax tainted letters, anthrax laced letters, anthrax letters, presence of anthrax, no presence of anthrax, positive for anthrax, negative for anthrax, positive for anthrax, also has anthrax, but not anthrax. I don't have anthrax. He does not have anthrax. No anthrax. Crop-dusted Omaha with anthrax. Mass spreading of anthrax. Mutant anthrax. Deadly anthrax. Cure any anthrax. Anthrax-fighting drug. Antibiotics. Anthrax vaccine. Smallpox vaccine. That's right. He said smallpox. Smallpox vaccine. That's right. He said smallpox. Back to anthrax. Cure for anthrax. Die from 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 anthrax.
For the next few minutes, I'm going to give you the facts on Ebola. It'll take just 3 minutes.
Ebola.
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 Ebola. Ebola. Ebola.
Ebola.
Ebola.
Ebola.
Ebola. Ebola. Ebola. Ebola.
Ebola.
Ebola. Ebola. Ebola. Ebola.
Ebola. Ebola.
Ebola.
As you know, this Ebola strain has been much more virulent.
Ebola strain. Ebola strains. Ebola strains.
The Ebola strain.
Ebola strain.
Ebola strain.
What causes Ebola?
Growing Ebola fear spreads around the country.
There are fears the outbreak will continue to spread.
Americans panic over a possible Ebola outbreak.
Fear and panic over a possible Ebola outbreak.
Ebola outbreak. Growing fears about Ebola.
Tested for Ebola.
Tested for Ebola. Tested for Ebola.
Tested for Ebola. Is there any cure for Ebola?
ZMapp.
So the drug that many people have read about in the media is something called ZMapp.
ZMapp. ZMapp.
ZMapp.
This used to be an orphan drug. What companies now actually see the potential for profit in developing an Ebola therapy?
ZMapp.
ZMapp.
ZMapp. ZMapp.
ZMapp.
ZMapp.
They are covering the man in a completely airtight containment unit.
Smallpox scare.
That's right, he said smallpox.
6 vials of deadly smallpox.
That's right, he said smallpox.
You're probably dead.
Because somebody might weaponize Ebola.
If I were a bioterrorist and I had a chance to weaponize 5, 6, or 7, I would not pick Ebola.
A country that actually weaponized Ebola.
Is there any cure for Ebola?
Monday, the first of 39 healthy volunteers began getting the experimental Ebola vaccine.
The first ever human trials of an Ebola vaccine.
An Ebola vaccine.
Ebola vaccine.
Forget the conspiracy. Listen to our government agencies. These guys are telling the truth. You know, there's no conspiracy here, folks. Just get your damn vaccine.
Cure for Ebola.
Die from Ebola.
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 Cure for Ebola.
Die from Ebola.